Hello and welcome to Hughes the World. Sorry for keeping you waiting for so long. I was having technical issues here at my end. Basically, for some reason, the green screen was not working, so I couldn't key myself out correctly without making myself invisible. I know you don't care. I know you don't care about this. It's not really important, but still, it's kind of frustrating when you're trying to get your show on the road. But the good news is we have lots of people here, which is nice. We have David Juardo. We've got Charlie Nelson. We've got Pineapple Boy. Costa Rica, the land of the pineapple. Number one pineapple producer in the world. Costa Rica. We've got Megan Elite saying evening all. We have got Just Me in Videos and Duke Vengeance and Glasgow Kiss. Fashionably late as usual. I was sitting here, like literally screaming at my computer, moving my lights around to try and get it all working so I don't have such a orange, green glow around me. It didn't quite work, but never mind. These things are sent to test us. Anyways, so welcome. Hello and welcome to another edition of Hughes of the World. Today we are heading off to Central America for the second time after going to Belize, and we are going to the country of Costa Rica, or the Rich Coast, as it translates into English. Yeah. It's easy, this, isn't it? So it's often referred to as, and I'm going to say it, it's a cliche, I'll try not to say it again, I'll just say it once, and then I'll just leave it at that. The Switzerland of Latin America. You'll find out why later in the show. It has waterfalls, misty crater lakes, it has jungle fringe, deserted beaches. It's a real choose-your-own-adventure land, and it's a fascinating place. It is just 0.5% of the world's total landmass, but it accounts for 5% of the biodiversity of the planet, with over 500,000 species living in Central America. Living in Costa Rica. Its national parks cover a quarter of its entire land. A quarter. It's one of the highest proportion, if not the highest proportion, of protected national parks in the world. Its deforestation levels are almost at zero. Look on that, Borneo. Look on that, Brazil, and despair. The energy it creates, its electricity, is almost 100% renewables, with 80% coming from hydroelectric. It is home to over 130,000 coffee farms, which is impressive. Although, I'm going to have to tell you this, just like they don't drink Umbongo in the Congo, they don't have Costa coffee in Costa Rica. I've looked for it. I've been to San Jose a few times, the capital. Not found it. I don't think they have Costa coffee in Costa Rica. Pretty sure of it. And I don't think that Emperor Nero ever drank coffee at Cafe Nero. What can I say? So, who else have we got on the hello list here? We have got Zoila Gonzalez. Ricky Martin is Puerto Rican. It's not Puerto Rico, part of America, but they don't get a vote on who gets to be president or a seat in any of the houses that can vote on anything. But yeah, Puerto Rico, part of America. Costa Rica, ending in an A, is part of Central America and a independent state. Drink apple juice, your stomach will be better. What? Pizza? Okay, pizza. Okay, miles away there. I'm like, what? Am I even complaining about apple juice or something? Anyway, back to Costa Rica. It is the country, one of the highest life expectancies in the world. In fact, it has the second highest life expectancy in the whole of the Americas after Canada. Maybe a surprise to some, but the life expectancy in the US of A is rather low. There's a few reasons for that. One is, unhealthy diet, junk food, etc. The other thing is guns. Lots of guns. They have more guns than anyone else on the planet. So, lots of dead people before their time. Costa Rica, get back to Costa Rica. They have over 100 volcanoes in Costa Rica, but there are only 5 active ones. They have 5 active ones. Until a few years ago, you could actually go up one and you could actually see the lava inside the volcano. You can't anymore, but it still steams. You can also, because of its location, we'll look into this in geography in a moment, it's also a place where you can watch the sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean, or the Caribbean Sea part of the Atlantic Ocean. And then you can drive across the other side of the country very fast in an electric car and watch the sunset in the west over the Pacific. True story. Or you can watch the sunset and then drive through the night and then watch the sunrise. See how you like it. Anyway, so also the probably the most interesting thing from a sort of political point of view, sort of politics and history, geopolitics point of view, is Costa Rica has no standing army. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's got no military at all, and it hasn't since 1949. It's got no army, it's got no navy, and it's got no air force. Instead, that money that could have been wasted on bombs and guns and tanks has been spent, disgracefully, in some people's opinion, on education and healthcare. Bloody hell. No wonder they have some of the longest living people in the world. It's not all dying in wars. Quite topical right now. So yes, they decided to get rid of the military for reasons that I will come to in the history section of tonight's show. And the phrase that you need to know if you ever go or stay or travel through Costa Rica is Pura Vida. Pura Vida, which means pure life. But it doesn't really, I mean, you know, it's like malaria means bad air, but not really. Pura Vida is just something that people say when they want to say hello or goodbye or well done or that's cool or whatever. It's an expression that is used a lot in Costa Rica. And it kind of, people say, oh, it's more than a phrase. It's a lifestyle. It's about being laid back and, you know, not getting too het up about stuff. And when you look at the history of the area of Costa Rica, don't forget, it's right next to Panama and Colombia one way, and then the other way, it's right next to Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, countries that in my lifetime have had tremendous uproar. So yeah, and it sits there in the middle, being the neutral country that's actually quite good for its neighbours because it often gets involved in peace negotiations. Another Latin American countries are getting up to kerfuffles and possibly no good. And Costa Rica turns up and says, hey, just chill your boots, man. Pura Vida. Yeah. Help yourself to a tamale. Woo. Okay, so back onto the topic at hand, which is Costa Rica. So it is a little country. It's only a population of 5 million. 5.1 million, according to Google today. There was an extra one born. And its capital is San Jose. Not from the Burt Bacharach song, Do You Know the Way to San Jose? Because that's in California. This is a different San Jose. And yes, this is the flag. Ta-da! It doesn't have the words Costa Rica written on it quite so big. It does have the words Costa Rica written on it on the badge. I know you can't see the badge very well because it's quite small on the screen, but there's a little badge on there. Now on the badge, the logo, motto, what's it called? Look, the slogan, the thing, the you know, the thing on the whatever, the crest. That's the word I want to say. The crest. On the crest, there is an image of the 7 stars. The 7 stars in an arc, which represent the 7 provinces of Costa Rica, and there are 2 ships on either side of a mountain range, which is actually 3 volcanoes, a little puff of smoke coming out the top. And on the back of these ships, so there's ships in the foreground, and then there's mountains, and then there's ships in the background, and that's to represent the 2 oceans. And then there's a sun, which is either setting or rising, depending on your point of view, I guess, in the background. So you could be looking at Costa Rica from the Caribbean side and watching the sun set, or you could be looking at Caribbean from the Pacific side and watching the sun rise from the actual ocean, and then looking at Okay, so yeah, and it also on the back of the boats, if you look really, really closely at the map, the flag. I should have done this better so you could see it. But if you look very, very, very closely, you will see that there are flags of Costa Rica on the back of the boats on the flag. So it's one of those countries where there's a flag of the flag on the flag, like Afghanistan, Belize, Bolivia. It's a fun thing that countries seem to like to do. But there you go. So the people of Costa Rica are Costa Ricans. Actually, not. They're called Tico. Tico for man and Tica for woman, rather than Costa Rican. Costa Rican's probably the proper demonym, but most people don't use that. They just say Tico means a male person from Costa Rica, and if they say Tica, it means a female person from Costa Rica. About 85% of the population are what's regarded as white. By that actually means you could be white, you could be mestizo, and you could be castizo as well. And they're all the white people. Bit of a weird one, that, but there you go. 7% are mixed race mulattoes, and 3% are Amerindians. They're the indigenous people who were originally there. And about 1% of the population are black Caribbeans who came across, or their ancestors came across, from Jamaica and other countries in the West Indies. The religion is Catholic. Does the Pope wear a silly hat? Well, indeed. And I've got some messages here. Good wants another referendum. I know, but it's not about Costa Rica, though, is it, David? The best passport to have is a Japanese one because it gives you visa-free access to 190 countries out of 195. That's very true. That was the question that I answered on a TV show over the summer called Richard Osman's House of Games. And I had to help out the contestants with the travel-related question. And it was, what's the most powerful passport? It used to be the British passport, you know? Mucked that up, didn't we? Where are the dinosaurs? Just Me Videos points out, quite rightly, that the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, the island, Isla Sorna, was it? Sorna? There were two of them, wasn't there? There's the backup island and the main one. Isla Nula, I think. Okay, someone look it up. Someone look up the names of the islands in Jurassic Park films. I think it was Isla Sorna and the other one was Isla Nubla or something. If you'd look that up, that'd be great. But they were off the coast of Costa Rica. Weirdly enough, in Jurassic Park, there is a scene where I think it's the guy from The Omen 3, Sam Neill, meets up with someone in San Jose, and they're at the beach. There's no beach in San Jose. It's a long way to the beach from San Jose. San Jose is inland. Okay, just a little bit of a goof there. If you want to go over to the Internet Movie Database and tell them, someone else has already probably pointed that out. I'm pretty sure of it. Okay, guns. Article 12 of the Costa Rica Constitution prohibits a standing army since 1949. What's not to like? Peace, says Panel Boy. I love it. I would really quite like that to be the situation everywhere in the world. It would make things a lot nicer. Hey, should we decide this thing? Okay, well, let's ask the people who live there what they think. And if they don't like it, they can move. Instead of blowing things up. Stop. The Switzerland of the Americas, the set of skis are in order there. Well, sure, it is in the tropics, as we'll come to in the geography section. But yeah, it's a bit hot. It's a bit hot for that. So the currency is the colones. Do you know what? I've probably got some upstairs from when I was there a few months ago with Marcus. I can't find any table. Oh, there's some Russian money here. They see here. That's Russian money. There, that's Russian rubles. 500. Was it 5,000? It's worth about £2.50 now, if that. Okay. Right. So moving on. The money though, I wish I had some. It's really colourful. It's got like animals on. It's got like a sloth. Oh, no, not a sloth. It's got a ringtail monkey. No, it's got no, that's a lemur. It's got a capuchin monkey on one of them, for sure. And it's got these other animals that you get in Costa Rica, and they're on the money, and the money's really colourful and lovely. But the coins are massive. The coins are like the size of pizzas. And you get a big chunk of colones coins, and they just burn a hole in you. Well, they just cut a hole in your pocket. They just get through there. It's like, why do you have to make the coins so big? What's wrong with you people? But yeah, the notes are lovely. The notes are very, very lovely. It drives on the right. Not that anyone asked, but I thought I'd just tell you that. There's only a couple of countries in Latin America where they drive on the left. I think there was only one, isn't there? Which is Guyana. Fun little quiz question, that, isn't it? Some islands in the Caribbean, but in the actual continental America. Does Belize drive on the left? It might do. I should have looked that up when I was talking about Belize. Never mind. Okay, moving on. GDP per capita. Hang on, that's a bit left field. But anyway, it's $12,000 per person per year, which isn't amazing, but it's also not bad. Pretty all right for the area, and that's a good, solid economy they have in Costa Rica. And yeah, I guess they don't let Russian oligarchs turn up and spend loads and loads of money in their economy. It just doesn't happen that way. Food. Let's talk about food a little moment. There is a breakfast there, staple breakfast, which is called Gallo Pinto, which is a breakfast dish made of beans. What else? Beans and rice, of course, at Oz. Yeah, that's pretty typical. And also, you get that in Panama as well. It's like rice and beans and chicken, or rice and beans and fish, or rice and beans and just rice and beans. Pretty typical. And then there's casado, which is like this big banquet. So it's this huge meal. It's got beans, rice, salad, tortillas, fried platanos, plantain, plantain, like a savory banana, meat, which will be pork or beef or chicken or fish. Big massive dish. That's pretty good. If you get one of them, you'll be pretty full for the rest of the day. And then there's a Costa Rican tamale. Now, it's different from so a tamale is like a dough snack with food in the dough, and it's wrapped up in a banana leaf, or in Costa Rica it's wrapped up in banana. In Mexico it's wrapped up in a corn husk, but yeah, you get it in a banana leaf in Costa Rica. Which is so it's like a little dough ball. It's filled with beans or meat, and it's a snack. It's your Greg's pastry. It's your Greg's pastry of Central America, and yeah, pretty good. The drink over there is coffee. I mean, obviously for sort of non-alcoholic drinks, but they do have an alcoholic drink called guaro. Guaro is the national alcoholic drink, I would say, of Costa Rica. It is a sugarcane derived drink, so it should taste a bit like rum, but for some reason it tastes more like vodka. And its name is derived from the Spanish word aguardiente, I think, which is Spanish for burning water, because it just burns your throat on the way down. Mixer, put it with a mixer. The national anthem, which I'm going to play for you now, goes a little bit like this. No, that's a guy. Here's the national anthem of Costa Rica. It's a python. I like it. Of your life it gives us, under the unsullied blue of your skies, peace rests white and pure, white supremacy, in the tenacious struggle of fruitful toil. Oh, I think it's just stopped to show an ad. Oh well, never mind. That's why you should never ever watch anything on YouTube. Okay. Apart from this show, which you should definitely watch on YouTube. Anyway, that was a little bit of the national anthem of Costa Rica. National anthems are all a bit of a muchness. Do you know what my favourite national anthem is? My favourite national anthem is the Spanish national anthem. Do you know why? Does anyone know why? Because there's no freaking words to learn. It's great. So the Spanish footballers just get to stand there and just listen to the music instead of trying to, sing along kind of half-heartedly and only knowing the first two lines, like most people do with their own national anthem, I think. That's the force soup. Play it a lot. Yes, indeed. So that was the tune. That was the national tune, man, of Costa Rica. Thought I'd share that with you. Okay, let's head over to the geography window. Should we go to the geography window? Should we just go to geography? Yeah, okay, right. Well, we will go to a globe of the world. Ooh, there we are. Okay, so that is planet Earth. You may recognize it from such, I don't know, interesting things as the Earth. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here. So look, just to get your bearings, there's Ukraine, where it's all kicking off. There's Africa. This is Asia over here, and there's Europe there, which is the peninsula of Asia, and I'll fight anyone who says differently. Okay, over here we have America. This is North America, which includes Mexico, by the way. Some people think Mexico is part of Central America. It is not. It is part of North America, and this bit here is Central America, and this bit down here is South America. Obviously, these were two massive land masses that were part of different continental land masses back in the day, and they've drifted together. And you've got Panama there, which is our lovely little umbilical cord that connects the two continents together. And right next to it is Costa Rica, which is kind of in the shape of a crab. Is it in the shape of a crab? Yeah, it's the shape of a crab. Can you see the crab? It's got a claw there and a claw there. So these two little hook-shaped peninsulas here, and it touches Nicaragua up here, and also it touches Panama down here. There's only two borders to get into Panama from Costa Rica. There's one down here, which goes to the city of David. Hey, David, look, there's a city named after you down here. Look, it's called David. And then over here, we have the other crossing over here at Sixaola. And there is Bocas del Toro. So if you ever go and visit Ginger Island, that's just there. Okay, so Costa Rica, it's quite a small country. It's quite a little country. It's a small country with a big heart. Can we say it's got a big heart? I'll just zoom in on Lago Coquiboquia or whatever it's called. And you'll see that actually it looks like the border is going to touch the lake, but it doesn't. All of this lake area is in fact owned by Nicaragua. And there you go. That's Costa Rica told, I guess. And like I say, over a quarter of the entire country is part of a national park that you cannot log or cut down or molest in any way. I'm going to change now to the satellite view, and you can see how bloody wonderful and green it is. It's so green. Why are you so green? Although some bastards drawn a load of roads all over it. I don't want to see the road. How do I not see the roads? Yeah, forget it. Okay, so yes, what else do I want to say? Yeah, there was over 100 volcanoes. There's actually over 120 volcanoes, and 5 of them are active. Costa Rica wants to be carbon neutral by 2021, which was, if you're not paying attention, last year. But it didn't achieve its goal, mostly because of too many cars and lack of support from other countries. But still, like I said earlier, 100% renewable energy, 80% of which is hydroelectric. And Costa Rica is one of the countries I have visited the most in Central America, mostly because I lived here in Bocas del Toro province for a good 3 years. In fact, let's zoom in. Let's see what Ginger Island is doing. Should we go and see Ginger Island? So there's Bocas del Toro there. There's a little peninsula here where the landing strip is and the town. And over here we have Isla Bastamentos. And over here we have Cristobal. And my island is just over here in Cristobal. Well, just off Cristobal. So see this piece here? There you go. There it says Ginger Island. Look, there it is. There it is. This has got nothing to do with Costa Rica except it's nearby. And it's very exciting. And you can see the reefs. That is a reef. And that is a reef. That's not a reef. That's a reef. That's a reef there. And the actual main part of the island is this sort of South America shaped bit here. And there's the boat dock there where me and Marcus would like to do the old, what was it called? Desert Island Discord or whatever after the show. Let's head down to the boat dock. Oh, there you go. There's Ginger Island. Nice. Okay, Graham. Stop it. Just get back to Costa Rica. Right. Time zone. It is GMT -6. They're 6 hours behind us, which you need to remember because if you cross over the border into Panama, because Panama used to be part of Colombia, Panama still has Bogota time. So it's GMT -5. So, yeah. Basically, whatever time it is here, just take away 6 hours and you'll have the time in Costa Rica. I don't think they do daylight saving time over there, so I think it changes throughout the year. Obviously, during the summer months, it becomes GMT -7, I guess, as we go an hour forward. and then we fall back in the autumn. That's how you remember. Anyway, right, so isthmus. Thank you very much, Chubai, for saying isthmus at me. I needed that word. It's good when there's a word to say. David says, Graham, football players don't care about lyric in anthem. The reason why Spain has no lyrics is because people used to listen to no lyrics. So some singers tried to put lyrics in. I don't know. They had a vote in Australia. This is why you shouldn't allow people to vote on things. They had a vote on what the Australian national anthem is. And instead of Waltzing Matilda, which is one of the options, the most obvious option, because it's awesome, because it's a song about a guy who pinches a sheep and then drowns himself in a lake rather than get caught by the fuzz. It's great. Instead of that as a national anthem, they chose Advance Australia Fair. And I could challenge anyone that, walking down the street, can you sing the Australian national anthem? And they will not know Advance Australia Fair. But if I say to them, do you know Waltzing Matilda? They'll go, oh yeah, and they'll start singing it. Probably get the words wrong, but they will know the tune. Why do they allow people who are so bad at marketing and PR to be involved in politics in any way, shape or form? I have no idea. What do you end up with? Boaty McBoatface. Can't trust humans. They buy Coldplay records and they voted for the Nazis. It's a theme from Skippy. Indeed. Okay, so let's dive into the history of Costa Rica. Don't want to be here all night. So let's go back way in the midst of time to 11,000 BC. So this is around the end of the last ice age. I know we're technically still in an ice age because there's still cold, there's still ice at the poles, but the last big ice age where the ice actually came over and covered half of Europe. And the first humans started to flourish in the rich lands of Costa Rica. Obviously, lots of fish there. That's all good. And then my phone keeps buzzing. You're just gonna have to excuse me for a moment because I just want to make sure that no one's dying or what. Oh, it's Kieran. Okay, Kieran, if you're not watching this, because I don't think you are, I will give you a call after the show. It's like this Hughes at 10 bit now. No, back into the history. So the history of Costa Rica begins human history of Costa Rica begins 11,000 BC. 11,000. That's 13,000 years ago. And the first hunter-gatherers flourished there in this wonderful, rich environment. The food was aplenty, and there were lots of fish to eat. And then in 2,500 BC, some of the first pottery-making villages in the whole of the Americas sprung up in what's now Costa Rica. Obviously, it wasn't Costa Rica at the time. They didn't call it Costa Rica till later. Just steady on. And then in 1000 BC, there was the construction of the ancient city of Guayabo. And Guayabo was mysteriously abandoned in 1400 AD. A good 2,400 years later. And no one really knows why. But around that time, a lot of Mayan towns to the north, the Maya never got all the way down to Costa Rica. There are no Mayan settlements in Costa Rica. The most southerly Mayan site is actually in Honduras, so they didn't get to Nicaragua either. And it's in the very north of Honduras, a place called Copas Runas, in the very north of Honduras. And Honduras is the murder capital of the world right now. It's an unappealing accolade that it shares on and off with El Salvador. But yeah, I digress. So this city sort of sprung up back in the day. This is in the BC days. And by 100 BC, while the Romans were just picking their nose, Costa Rica became part of a extensive trade network that extended all the way up into Mexico to the Aztecs. Then you had the Mayans. Then you had the people in the middle who were sort of making the money as people went past, I guess, put them up for the night. I don't know. And then that trade went all the way down into into South America, into the Andean kingdoms of Central America, the Incas. And yes, by that time, I guess maybe they were going through the Darien Gap, but there were raids coming over from the Carib people who would come over to Costa Rica. They were quite warlike. The Arawaks were the people who were a bit chilled out, and the Caribs were the very warlike people who the Caribbean was named after. and I keep pointing this out, but you never meet a Carib these days because they all got wiped out by Whitey. Yeah, well done, Europeans. Dickheads. Turned up with the gunpowder and the germs. And their guns. Okay, so moving on. By 800 AD, they started making these mad graphite balls. Okay, so if you go to Costa Rica, you'll come across a lot of balls. And they're these giant granite spheres, which are made of igneous rock, which they just started carving. And I think they kept doing it until fairly recently. And they're really beautifully carved, like amazing standard of professional sphere creation. And maybe someone just really liked having big granite balls. I don't know, but you see them all over Costa Rica these days. So they're worth checking out. Costa Rica's massive stone balls. Nobody knows why. It's still one of those things that nobody knows, which I always like. I always like when people there's no answer for that question that no one really asked in the first place. And then in 1502, jumping forward a little bit in time, I know, but 1502 AD, Christopher Columbus, the gobshite of gobshites, the guy who on his third voyage to the New World was actually sent home to Spain in shackles because he treated the indigenous people so badly. This was the Spanish saying, hey, this guy's got a bit far. That's how bad Christopher Columbus was. So but for some insane reason, he was allowed to go back to Central America. Well, but allowed to go back to the Americas, the New World, the West Indies, whatever they called it back then. And he actually managed to step foot on the mainland, because a lot of people think that Christopher Columbus only went to the Caribbean. The reality is he actually managed on the fourth journey that he made in 1502 to set foot in what's now Puerto Limon in Costa Rica, and he repaired his boats because he got stuck in a storm, in a hurricane or something. His boats got a bit wrecked, so he fixed them up. And also, if you ever go to Bocas del Toro, there's an island there just by Bocas town called Isla Cananero. And Cananero is Spanish for careening, which is scraping the barnacles off the bottom of your boat. You put your boat onto the beach, you let it fall over to one side. You have ropes and stuff so it doesn't go mental. And you scrape all the barnacles off, you pull it back with the ropes, the other side, scrape the barnacles off the other side, and then when the tide comes in, you push your boat back up. That's what you do. It's called careening, or in Spanish, Cananero. Or I guess cananeres, they would say as a verb. I don't know. But Cananero is the name of the island where he did that in Bocas del Toro. So Christopher Columbus came to Costa Rica and he gave the name of Costa Rica to Costa Rica. He met some indigenous people and they had lots of gold. And what I think happened was essentially this weird looking stranger turned up and the indigenous people went, we had better get you know, like when when someone's coming around your mum's and she tidies up and makes it all look really nice. I think that's basically what they did. They were like, oh, we've got a special guest, we better put on our best front. So they showed all this gold that they had, little trinkets of gold, and he was like, oh wow, that's a really nice bit of gold, that. And because the conquistadors were all obsessed with gold, he thought, oh yeah, there's going to be loads of gold here. There wasn't, and it was probably gold that had come through the country, I guess, from the Inca civilization or down from the Aztec civilization over the years. Obviously, they were the crossroads in between the two civilizations, and the Mayans also in the north. And they just accumulated some trinkets over the years, and some of these were designed and made by the proto-Costa Ricans themselves, the proto-Ticas themselves. And but let's say Christopher Columbus was kind of a little bit missold on the whole rich coast. For the next 20 odd years, anyone who tried to colonize the place, set up a colony, or conquistador the place, found that they were quite soundly beaten back, I should say, by the jungle and by stinging insects and by malaria and other diseases. So it wasn't until 20 years later that the settlements started in earnest, and yet they didn't really get anywhere because the landscape was just too harsh. It was just too unforgiving, and the middle of the jungle, and it's very itchy. I'm getting itchy just thinking about it. Look at this. Anyway, in 1540, This is a good nearly 40 years after Columbus got there. The Kingdom of Guatemala was established, which comprised of most of Central America. And then in 1562, finally, this is 60 years after Columbus. 60 years, so basically it's like 70 years after the World War II now, isn't it? So, yeah, God, it's going to be 80 years. It was a long time. It was a long time. And there was a conquistador called Juan Vasquez. It's a good name for a conquistador, isn't it? And Vasquez arrived in what's now Costa Rica, and what he wanted to do is get these fringe communities, little places that people are sort of set up, these sort of ramshackle towns and things, and he wanted to move them to the Central Valley and create a permanent settlement in Costa Rica, which he did. He's established in a place called Cartago, which is which is it's only about 12 miles southwest of San Jose, the capital now, but San Jose wasn't there at the time. So this is kind of like a Manchester-Salford thing where you have two cities a bit too close to each other. Yeah. And then in 1737, so 150 years later, San Jose was established, and its rivalry with Cartago meant that they had a civil war. They literally had a civil war between the cities in one of the unusual moments of violence in Costa Rican history. Anyway, by the 19th century, the 1800s, the coffee boom had well and truly taken off. It had boomed, and by the end of the century, coffee accounted for 80% of the foreign currency earnings from exports. And interestingly, coffee was an import. I think it's the red coffee bean that they grow over there, and that was brought over, I guess, from Africa. I think that the first place that coffee was found, and the country that claims to be the birthplace of coffee, is Ethiopia in Africa. And I think they have a bit of argy-bargy with Eritrea over this, but Eritrea was part of Ethiopia for quite a long time between the 60s and the early 90s. And yeah, they don't get on. They still don't get on. They haven't got on for a long time. And I think there's some rivalry there. But the story is that there was a farmer and he was watching his goat eating some beans, and he thought, I'll have some of those beans. And I don't know how he put them in a hot drink. I don't know. That's the story. Anyway, 1821. Things start getting exciting now for Costa Rica, which is barely anything at the time, but because of the coffee boom, it starts becoming a place. It starts becoming a place that people sort of take a bit of an interest in. And then in 1821, following a declaration by Mexico, Costa Rica got independence from the Spanish without firing a shot. There was no war. There was no thing. Well, not for Costa Rica. Everyone's sitting around Costa Rica. They're like, "Wow, wouldn't it be great to be independent?" And someone turned up and said, "Hey, I've got some great news. What is it? Oh, Mexico, a place that's like 1,000 miles north of here, has just declared independence from Spain, and the Spanish have buggered off. So I guess we're free now." And they went, "Yay, that sounds great," except immediately they found themselves part of the Mexican Empire. And they were like, oh, okay, so we got rid of the Spanish, but now we're part of the Mexican Empire. That doesn't make much sense. And then after 2 years, they threw off the shackles of the Mexican Empire, only to find that after moving the capital to San Jose in July of 1823, Costa Rica became part of the Federal Republic of Central America, or FRCA for short. That doesn't roll off the tongue, does it? With Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Los Altos, the lost country of Central America, and the Mosquito Coast, which was kind of British, and then it became part of Nicaragua. And then it wasn't until 1838 that Costa Rica got independence for a third time, and this time it had full independence and became what was called at the time the Free State of Costa Rica. The Free State. And then about 11 years later, it became the first Costa Rican Republic. And Costa Rica proper, the Costa Rica that we know and love. This pissed off a few people. especially white people in the USA, who looked at Costa Rica and said, "Hey, what you doing?" And Costa Rica said, "We're doing our own thing, man." And the people in America were like, "Well, we're gonna show you. We're gonna expand. We're gonna expand our states down all the way to Panama. That's what we're gonna do, and you can't stop us." And this was actually called the Monroe Doctrine. It was actually a government scheme, I guess. But then there was a lunatic called William Walker. Well, lunatic, he was a scumbag, a pro-slavery, let's subjugate the natives, gobshite from probably southern USA. He was from the USA, I don't know where from. But he turned up in Central America and caused all kinds of problems in Honduras, in Nicaragua, in Mexico. He declared the Baja California as part of the USA. He then got to in 1856. He was defeated in Costa Rica at the Battle of Santa Rosa, which lasted just 14 minutes. What happened was he turned up with his troops, who were all just mercenaries and that, I think, and the Costa Ricans knew they were coming. So the Costa Ricans, who at the time didn't really have an army, because, they didn't really need one, I don't think, they got 9,000 people, just ordinary bods, I think, off the street and from the fields to come and fight to keep these Americans out of their country. Fair enough. And there was a little boy. He was a drummer boy. Called Juan Santamaria. And Juan Santamaria was lauded because although he died during the battle, he did manage to set fire to William Walker's defences, meaning that the army of Costa Rica just walk in and basically beat the crap out of him. He ran away, survived to fight another day until he started knocking around Honduras. That pissed the British off because they were like, excuse me, British Honduras? Yeah, that's ours. They captured him and then handed him over to the Hondurans, who were like, "We're so sick of your shit, you daft American bastard," and they shot him. Which is fair enough. It's fair enough. But Juan Santamaria is a sort of a saintly figure, if you like, in Costa Rican mythology, I guess. And if you fly into the airport in San Jose, the airport is actually named Santa Maria Airport after Jose Santa Maria. Now you know. After the little drummer boy who set fire to some American invaders' defences. Good on you, Juan. So, moving on. In 1889, Costa Rica had its first democratic elections. Well done, Costa Rica. Although, it did exclude women and black people. Not so good, Costa Rica. Not so good. You're getting there, though. And then in 1890, the railway from San Jose to Puerto Limon, which is that little port that Christopher Columbus went to, and is up the coast from Puerto Viejo, which is just up the coast of Bocas del Toro, the railway was completed at the cost of thousands of lives. And they had the same problem building this bloody railway that they had building the Panama Canal. Just people were dying left, right, and centre of accidents, malfunctions, explosions, malaria, and yellow fever. Just people just dying by the bucket load, by the skip load, it was really grim. But when it was completed, it meant there was a boom, not just of coffee, as we talked about earlier, but also of bananas. Bananas became the big crop, along with pineapples, Ben. That was the big crop that was exported all around the world from Costa Rica. And by 1900, but a year later, the population had reached 50,000, which was pretty big for the time. Bananas and coffee turned out to be quite lucrative, to say the least. In 1914, the Panama Canal opened, which seemed, probably better for Panama all in, but that did also help the economy of Costa Rica. And then in 1919, Federico Tinoco was ousted as a dictator. He was you're a dictator, get out of here. In another rare episode of violence in Costa Rican history, and it was quite short and stout, and here's my handle, and here's my spout. No, and anyway, so Squire, don't write that down. What's that? That's Duke Vengeance. Honduras is pronounced Honduras. H is silent. Yeah, but what about British Honduras? Hey, David. Honduras, meaning deep water, I think. It's the opposite of Bahamas, which means shallow water. Cool story, bro. Okay, so, yes, in 1940, Jose Figueres Ferrer, Ferrer, he got involved in politics and began criticizing the conservative government of President Calderon. President Calderon wasn't conservative, but he wasn't too bad. He actually brought in an 8-hour work day, and he also brought in a minimum wage, so he wasn't as monstrous as some conservative politicians. But still, the Liberals didn't really get on with the Conservatives, and after watching the whole world fall into war over the early, most of the 40s, in 1948, there was a 6-week civil war between the Liberals and the Conservatives, which was left over 2,000 civilians dead. Army people, I guess. And that was the point where the Costa Rican people got together and said, this is really stupid. Let's get rid of our military so it never happens again. Brilliant! And it hasn't. And it hasn't happened again. And whereas a bunch of other countries in Central America all sort of fell apart in the 70s and 80s. You had the Contras, and you had the problems in El Salvador, the problems in Honduras, problems in Nicaragua, and problems in Panama with what's his name? The guy in Panama whose name I've forgotten. Noriega. Manuel Noriega. Thank you, brain, for remembering that. But yes, Costa Rica in the middle of all this, and also bloody hell, Colombia, Jesus. Literally in the middle of this whole neighborhood of all these shenanigans going on. By shenanigans, I mean bloody horrific violence, and it managed to stay peaceful. And in fact, in 1987, the then president of Costa Rica, president at the time called Oscar Arias, he actually won the Nobel Peace Prize for just basically going out and saying, hey, guys, stop fighting. Stop it. Good guy. Anyway, so yes, also in 1949, when they got rid of the army and the navy and the air force, they also granted women and black people a chance to vote, which was nice. And it also desegregated the country, which is awesome. And then in 1963... the Reserva Natural Absoluta Cabo Blanca, just wanted to get that right, read it off the screen, became the country's first protected wildlife space or national park, first of many. And then in the 1970s, the eco-tourism boom began, and this has kind of replaced everything. The bananas, the pineapples, the coffee as the number one money-making, I was going to say export, but it's not an export, it's an import. Money-making scheme of the canny Costa Ricans who think, hey, why don't we make the place look really, really nice? And then people will come here and they'll go, oh, this is really, really nice. Pura Vida, baby, Pura Vida. You there, stop beating each other up. That's my job, says Duke Vengeance. Jeremy Goff says that was one camp teapot. Thank you, Jeremy, I've been working on it. Hi all, says Veg Pie. Hello, Veg Pie. We're talking about Costa Rica today, which is actually quite a nice story. I'm really enjoying this, not least because I did Congo last week, and then next week we're going to be doing Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast. So we're going to have 2 stories of abject misery. But then we have Costa Rica in the middle, which is kind of, as I've been saying, the Helvetia of, I don't want to say Switzerland, the Helvetia of Latin America. Anyway, so in 1979 to about 1986, Costa Rica found itself getting reluctantly sort of dragged into these squabbles and violence and shit going on in all the Central American republics at the time. It kind of got drawn into other conflicts, but then there was an election in 1986, and Oscar Arias, who became president, he ran on a platform of, I want to get rid of the Contras at the north of the country. I don't want any of this stuff. We want to just be peaceful, neutral Costa Rica, and he won. And that's what he did. And a year later, he won, as I just said, the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts. And then in 2006, he was re-elected. After 16 years of not being in power, he was re-elected in 2006. And he was a pro-CAFTA politician. And CAFTA is the Central American Free Trade Association between America and Central America. USA. The USA and Central America. NAFTA is the North American Free Trade Association agreement. Agreement, which is between Canada, the US, and Mexico. So that's why Mexico is North America. These are Central America. Different things. Not CAFTA. CAFTA. Not doesn't matter. Anyway, so yes, that was the entry into CAFTA was passed by referendum in 2007. And that's it, really. Costa Rica's been doing really well. It did say that it wanted to get to net zero by 2021 a few years ago, and it's missed that target, but it has made great strides in that direction. The fact that nearly all of its electricity is generated by hydroelectric and solar is just fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. It's transport, really, that is still creating a lot of carbon in in Costa Rica. And until I guess technology gets to a point where it's cheaper to get an electric car than a petrol internal combustion engine car, then we're going to be stuck in, especially in poorer countries, with internal combustion engines, which isn't great. Kafka says David, not Kafka, not. It's a writer. Anyway, so, lack of war, long life expectancy, relatively sturdy economy, the highest standard of living in the whole of Central America, and it often tops the happiest in the world lists. Ladies and gentlemen, Costa Rica. I can't actually recommend it enough. I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit biased towards Panama because I know it a little bit better, but Costa Rica, I'm trying to think of something negative I can say just to try and be balanced. It's a bit expensive compared with Panama. And Nicaragua. Nicaragua's amazingly cheap. But yeah, apart from that, it's pretty cool. And although it is probably the most one of the most famous eco retreats countries in the world, it's not like it's mad full. Like, you can still get to places where you're the only person there. Try and go out of season. It never gets cold there. They don't really get hit by hurricanes in the same way that countries further north do. I just got... Okay, getting there and away. Flying to San Jose. This is what Marcus and I did last time we went to Ginger Island. We flew into San Jose because it's actually closer to Bocas del Toro than the capital of Panama City. So although it looks about the same on the map, there's a sort of more of a direct route, basically. If you're trying to get from Panama City to Bocas del Toro, you have to go through the city of David, which is kind of like a dog leg to get around it. Otherwise, yeah, if you want to get from Costa Rica to another country, it obviously borders Panama, and it also borders Nicaragua. There's only two ways into Panama. There's 2 ways into Panama. Nicaragua, I've been through one a few times, but I don't know if there's another one. I think there probably is on the Caribbean coast side of things. But something about the Panama crossings that you need to know. They close at 6 o'clock. And because Panama's actually an hour before or after, no, an hour after, so you lose an hour. When you cross the border into Panama, you lose an hour. So you're walking along thinking, oh, it's 5 o'clock. I've got an hour to get to the last boat at 6 o'clock. And then someone says, no, you crossed the border, you dickhead. It's now 6 o'clock. And you're like, I missed that bus. Missed the boat, whatever. And so I've spent some time in San Jose, moved around San Jose quite a lot. San Jose is not that nice. If you get into San Jose, I would suggest you get out as soon as possible. It's just a city. It's got a park in the middle, which is all right, but not amazing. And it's a grid system, which I don't particularly like, and a lot of the buildings are just boring. But once you get out of San Jose, the actual jungle, the mountains, the volcanoes, the beaches, the wildlife, the flora and the fauna are phenomenal. So please just get out there. Puerto Limon on the Caribbean coast is a bit grim as well. I wouldn't spend any time there, but just down the coast is Puerto Viejo, the old port, and Puerto Viejo is lovely. It is very much like Bocas del Toro, but it's on the other side of the border. In fact, it's only a few miles up the coast from Bocas del Toro, so that's probably why it's so similar. Anyway, so there you go. Worth it. Bit more expensive than its two neighbours, but absolutely worth it 100%. And if you get a chance to go over to Costa Rica anytime soon, please feel free to drop into Ginger Island. It's now listed on Airbnb, so people can stay there and have the whole island to themselves pretty much, although Ishmael will be there to make sure you don't do anything really stupid. And yeah, I'll give you a discount because you watch these shows. I mean, you watch it. This is fantastic. Are Costa Rica looking for crazed, vengeful lunatic? Asks Duke Vengeance. I don't know. Hasn't it got the narrowest wealth gap? Yeah, Chubby, it does. And look, this is again, I've often talked about the fact that you can't understand the country's history and you can't understand the country's current position unless you understand geography. It all comes down to geography. And in a way, Costa Rica was blessed by its geography. It being a jungle, it made it very difficult for the conquistadors to really get a hold there. I guess because gold is hard to come by. I don't know how it works exactly, but I'm assuming that because it's kind of a new country in geological terms, I guess, one landmass hitting another landmass, gold hasn't had time to form. I don't know how it works, and so you don't really have the gold reserves. I don't think there's much oil there for people to exploit. So there's a scene in the movie Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Connelly, and there's an old man in the village and everyone's dead in the village. It's all been burnt out, and obviously everyone's fighting over the diamonds, and he says, let's hope they don't find oil because then our troubles will really begin. That's what this old man says. It always stayed with me that. I watched Blood Diamond just after I'd come out of West Africa. I think I watched it in Gabon, I think, after coming. No, I tell a lie. I think I watched it in Liberia. I watched it in Liberia. So I literally had just left. I just left Saudi Arabia and I was staying in Monrovia, the capital of Liberia, with a guy called Turkey, who wasn't from Turkey. He was from Jordan. Yeah, I was staying. No, it wasn't Turkey. Was it Turkey or was it? No, he was the guy that I stayed with in Saudi Arabia. The guy I stayed with in Liberia was called Shadi. Hi, Shadi, if you're watching this. I don't think he is. But, yeah, I remember watching Blood Diamond there and thinking, that doesn't look anything like Sierra Leone. And then I found out afterwards that it was actually filmed in Mozambique. I was like, well, no wonder it didn't look like Sierra Leone. It's like filmed thousands of miles away from where it's supposed to be set. But I don't think anyone else noticed except for the Sierra Leoneans and perhaps some people in Liberia. Anyway, so, yeah, I guess by not having oil, like Venezuela, not having gold, like what happened to Peru and Bolivia and other places, I guess Costa Rica got spurred a little bit by not being hospitable for those proto-conquistadors. It meant that they didn't really establish a foothold there. No one really wanted to fight over the country, which probably helped as well. So there's a lot of things that have meant geographical things that have meant that Costa Rica is in the position it's in. The fact that it can produce 80% of its electricity through hydroelectric power means that it's got to have high up mountains and water coming down all the time from the mountains, lots of rainfall to obviously keep the water coming at all times. So yeah, geography, climate, all that all feeds into the fact that it's a lucky country. It's a country that, turned out all right. It turned out all right, it did. Adam Kate says, other than all your trips to and from Ginger Island, do you actually have any Costa Rican stories from the Odyssey? I can't remember if you actually set foot or you were just on the coach the entire time. No, I was on a boat. I was on a bus. I came down from El Salvador, and at midnight, it was my birthday, and I missed the first bus. I was with this guy called Mito. Me too. And anyway, I missed the bus I was supposed to get on, and because I was supposed to get my bag from the hotel, and they wouldn't let me have my bag, and the guy wouldn't get out of bed to get the bag, and so I couldn't get on the bus. But then I got the second bus, and then I was traveling down. It was my birthday. And the people on the bus, I think it was a couple of Argentinians, sort of befriended me, and we had a birthday cake on the bus and some drink, and that was fun. And then we got down to San Jose, and then I remember staying in the worst hostel ever, and I wish I'd remembered which hostel it was, because I have a sneaking suspicion that I stayed in exactly the same hostel when I was there in 2014. I went in April 2014. I went to San Jose, and I stayed in a really, really awful hostel. But this one was really bad. It was the bed that I had. Now, normally when you have a wooden bed with a mattress on it, foam mattress, it has slats. Like every inch you have another slat, yeah. Well, this one had like 4 slats, and there was one like and there was one like diagonally, and then another one diagonally. So the mattress was just falling through these gaps between the slats, and it was just like the most uncomfortable night's sleep of my entire life. This is during the Odyssey adventure. Would have been the 1st of March 2009. I remember it well. That I woke up and I went over to Panama. Now, Panama was a country that I just literally walked across the border, got my passport stamped or whatever, walked across the border, got a picture of me at the welcome to Panama sign, Benavides de Panama, and then I walked straight back over the border. But in my defense, I did live there for 3 years afterwards, subsequently, so I had to get to know the place a little bit better during that time. And then I went back to San Jose, and it took all day to get back to San Jose. I don't know why, but the bus to the border was pretty quick, and then the bus back from the border, I don't know what route it took, or whether it just stopped at every village along the way, but it took a really long time. It was nighttime before I got back to San Jose, and then the bus, the Tika bus, there was a King quality bus and a Tika bus, and I think, oh God, which one did I get? I think I got the King quality one down and the Tika one back up, something like that, and it was leaving at some ridiculous time in the morning, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why the buses leave at crazy stupid times. I think it's to do with the times that the borders are open, so it's got to leave at X time so we can be the first thing at the border and get across the border, especially because it was going up to El Salvador and then on to Guatemala, so you're crossing over several countries, crossing over 4 countries to get, so you've got to time it for when all the borders are open. So leaving at a sensible time, like, I don't know, 10:30 in the morning, which is a perfect time. You can get up at a reasonable time, have your breakfast, and then you potter around for a little bit. Go to the station, get on the bus, no problem. But no, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. So I remember going back to another hostel. I remember sitting there thinking, I wish I'd stayed at this hostel last night. And I got chatting with some people who were staying there. I think they were on the bus with me from the border, and we had a few drinks and stuff. And then I think we went out. I can't remember. And then I got on a bus and they went out clubbing or went to bed. I don't know. Anyway, right. Oh, there's a lot of messages now. I thought Costa Rica is a favourite of Americans. Yes, there are a lot of Americans there, I have to say. But it's a beautiful place, so, you can't blame them. Travels, is it somewhere you'd like to live? Is it cheap to live in? Lee? I'd live in Panama and go across the border. I wouldn't mind living there. If I had the money, I'd live there. I mean, as things are at the moment, I could probably afford to live in Ginger Island if I had a little bit of income coming from there, from Airbnb or something. But I don't know if I'd be able to do that in Costa Rica. I don't know if you'd be able to make enough money from an enterprise like that in order to live in Costa Rica. It is a little bit more expensive, but I don't know. I don't know what the rules are as well about owning stuff when you're not from Costa Rica. In Panama, you're not allowed to own property if you're not a Panamanian citizen or resident. And the reason why I can own Ginger Island is it's actually in the name of a company, and I'm the sole proprietor. I'm the director of the company that owns the island. I'm seldom correct on these things, but it has come to a head. An internal coup is the most likely scenario. Internal coup? Are you talking about Russia? It's preparing an option, because it's not more hardline military. Remember, the army tried to coup against Gorbachev, but Yeltsin led the counter-revolution. Indeed, the potential downside, but we're at a point where you just have to hope anything must be better. Yeah, well, just to move on the subject a little bit to what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. And Belarus, don't forget, Putin invaded Belarus before he invaded Ukraine. It's just because they have he has a pliant puppet leader of Belarus, Lukashenko. He can, get in there. But yeah, I'm hoping that a coup happens very soon. And I don't think people like Abramovich are going to be particularly happy losing billions and billions of pounds or dollars. I would say it's rubles, but they're going to be worthless pretty soon. People losing their life savings, people losing their yachts, people losing their football teams, literally losing their football teams. Yeah, I don't see how much more people will put up with. But then again, nationalism, people will eat their own grandmother if they're told it will help the state. It's correct and sweet to die for one's country and all that bollocks. Although I will always quote, I don't know who it was who said it. I think it's misattributed to Patton, General Patton, but the line is, nobody ever won a war by dying for their country. They won a war by making some other poor bastard die for their country, which is a good bloody point. Sorry for going off topic, Graham Hughes Travels, says Jeremy Goff. Oh, yes, and you're right to apologise. Okay, so join me this time next week, same bat time, same bat channel, for the next episode of Hughes of the World, which is going to be about Côte d'Ivoire. I'm not going to call it the Ivory Coast. I'm going to do it with the C's. Obviously, I've bunked the Democratic Republic of Congo to the D's, which is arguable, but I didn't want to do Congo and have two Congos in a row. So we're going to do Côte d'Ivoire next week. So tune in for that. If you want to join me over on the Discord server for a bit, I'll be over there momentarily, and maybe Pineapple Boy has a quiz for us set up. I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Quite Pineapple Boy. But if you want to become a patron of me, of this channel, of all my channels, head over to patreon.com/thatgingerscouser. Alternatively, you can become a YouTube member. Either way is good. But until next week and the next edition of Hughes of the World, I'll say thank you very much for watching. I've just discovered that I have stupidly moved one of my files, so I don't actually have the file that I need to hand. I'm going to have to literally type in the name of the file and do a search, which is not very professional when you're trying to sign off. But, no items match your search. Oh, kill me now. Oh, God. I don't know why this isn't working. Why aren't you working? Why do you hate me so much? Patreon.thanks.jpg. That sounds good to me. Where's that? Where are you? Where? Right, so I found the picture. Where is it? Where is it? I hate Windows. I really. The only thing I hate more than Windows is Macs. For God's sake. Patreon, thanks. Let's have a look. Oh, there it is. Image file. Okay. Hey! Excellent. Right, I have just found the file. Is that? Oh my God, that's a really, really, really old one. Oh shit, that's like an old Patreon file. Oh God. This isn't going very well. Let's have a look. Let's type in word recovered. See what comes up. No items match your search. Why is it not finding things? This is kind of really painful now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little double click. I'm just going to have to look for it manually with my eyes, because that's the way you work computers these days. Not like in the olden days when everything was all on tapes. I'm going to have to literally look for the file that I need by going through all the thumbnails. Oh, there it is. Found it. Right. Thank you. Whew. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you for bearing with me. It wasn't very interesting. I'll see you again very soon. Head over to the Patreon page. Not the Patreon. Head to the Patreon page. Become a patron. But you probably all are patrons, so don't worry about that. Head over to the Discord server and we'll have a quick quiz. Shall I have a quick quiz? Duke says, what? How dare you have a quiz? Guards, arrest them. And Just Me in Videos says, hit the like button. Thank you very much, Just Me in Videos. Always looking out for me. I always forget to say that. And until next time, Pura Vida. Bye. It's not going. It's not working. Hey, there we go. Thank God for that.